Hey everybody, welcome to Working with Designers, a podcast where we talk about the realities of being professional creatives and how businesses and designers can create a bigger impact by working together. I'm Jay Cooper and my co-host is Kristin Silva, and today we have a really cool episode. We're featuring our first guests on the podcast. Sean and Elina are the co-founders of Spaceout Design. They're a young design studio out of Albany, New York, and we're going to chat about what creative partnerships look like in a modern design business, the mental and logistical challenges that poses, and how Kristin and I can relate to this journey as we, build this podcast together. We're really proud of this one, so let's get to it. Well, thanks to you guys for joining the show. We're totally happy to have you. We're really excited to get to learn a bit more about you guys. We are just starting this podcast, two people forming a partnership in this brand and working together. I'd love to learn a bit about how you guys face kind of creative partnership and running a design studio, what you're noticing, what your hopes are. Let's just want to get into it.
Sure. Yeah. I can't really speak for Elina on how she got to this point in her life. I'll let her touch on that. But for me, I grew up with two parents that both owned a graphic design studio together. So just growing up seeing that, I feel like that kind of led me down this path, even though way back I ended up going to school for business administration, ended up flunking out of that, hating it, and then switched to design and then was dean's list, president's list, and was doing perfectly fine. But I always knew that I wanted to start some type of business at some point, one way or another in my life. And I always knew I'd have to do it with somebody else. I needed some partner, somebody to push me, somebody that I can push. And I didn't know who that would be. And then in school, I met Elina, and she was always just there jumping at the gun to help me with projects at school. And I was like, she could be a good business partner. And then we ended up going to Seattle on a school trip, which is where we kind of came up with the idea to start a studio together. It was originally going to be with more people. And then we realized that just two people is probably the best way to go to start. So.
Yeah, that's great.
Elina, I don't know what your journey is, but if you want to share.
I'm much longer because I was in another field previously, but I feel like internally, like I don't have anyone around me who did this job or who was involved in that field. I had only one friend. She was studying for graphic designer, but I'm from Russia and she did it in Russia. And I was like, I will always talk to her, just come to her house and she had like crazy stuff going on. I'm like, this is interesting. And I was in the law school, what's like completely different experience. And when I come here, I got an opportunity to get another education. And I saw people drawing pillows and I'm like, this is really cool. Like you don't have like this crazy busy life. You just gone out and draw pillows. And if you can make money from it, it will be like really interesting. And I just tried out, and the university that I went has to close due to like my problems, and I have to move to another place. And I went to Sage, I met Sean, and it was kind of different experience because I was more on collaborative side. Like we kind of force us to collaborate with each other, to help each other. And it's not only professors will give you feedback, it's also classmates. Like we had a free time where it's like it's only classmates, and the feedback you can get is like come to someone and ask, what do you think about that? Because I'm kind of stuck. In which how we start collaborating the project, because we will just constantly bug each other. Do you think it's look okay? Do you think it's look bad? Or should I do something better? And after Seattle, we come and like, okay, we already kind of work a lot on what projects, just not doing each other work, but shooting at each other ideas. And it was really helpful. And we decided to start the business together. It was fun. First time, we're like, what we doing? We still sometimes ask the same questions, what we doing?
Yeah.
But it
doesn't change.
Yeah, it's fun sometimes. It's all right.
Well, I was going to say the like, what am I doing again? Like, I feel like we all get into those moments.
I think it's days by day. We're taking it day by day because sometimes like when you finish like cool project and you're like super excited, you're like, oh my God, we just did this crazy job. Or when you got a project. Neat project is always like when you super exhausted because you try to execute the best version of a design that you can. And when you stare at the screen like for 10 hours, you're like, does it look good? Does it not look good? Do I lose my inspiration? And you go down and like, maybe I'm not good enough. Why are we doing all that? But when project ended up with success, you're like, woohoo, we did great.
Yeah, the journey, the emotional journey throughout like the creative process is a wild one for sure.
It's actually helpful. Sorry?
No, go ahead.
It's helpful, but it's two of us because most of the time, like, we all have deadlines, and when you cannot finish the project in time, or like you just didn't have today the inspiration, you've been sitting and beating the bush for 20 hours and you cannot come up with something, it's easier to us when we got together and we can just sit down and spit out ideas, and it's fasting the process when you just talk to yourself, or when something happened, or I cannot continue, I always can send the file to Sean and say, can you play around with it for 30 minutes and give me back so I can see new possibilities in that. And that's why projects move so much faster. Like, because in the beginning, we didn't have that. Like, we had to go a long way to be able to just share a file and like, okay, take responsibility for that for a couple hours and give me back. I will take mine. And it helps a lot without breaking down that, like, I cannot do this, I lost inspiration and stuff like that.
So when it comes to, if I can go back like a step there, where, you know, can we highlight where you guys overlap in roles and where you kind of divide and conquer, from like administrative to the sales to actually delivering?
It's still work in progress. I think the more we go, the better we learn. Like, in the future, I hope we're going to have a salesperson that we don't have to deal with it. Because it's the most scariest part of all of this stuff. And I think my role is the more I take care of the paperwork, I take care of all our accounts, and I take care of like all business stuff, what we need to take care of. And I'm more an administrator, make sure we do our office duty tasks every month, make sure we're on track on everything, make sure all subscriptions are paid and all stuff. We start and we like first. We start together, but it's harder for two people to just take care of like reconciling accounts and make sure what do we spend money on and what do we buy, what do we need. It's easier if one person takes care of it. And Sean takes care of a public relationship. He is really good in communicating with people, and like from one of our main goals, because with two designers who collaborate, we want to collaborate with more people to just open the gate that designers can work with each other, not to compete. Are responsible for communicating with people, making new connections, finding false events, talking to other people, responding to emails, because I'm so terrible at that, and make sure we stay on top of, like, if it was my way, and initially we had like hard head-to-head to that, because I said, I don't want the people to see me. I just want to work as a designer behind the scene, and I don't want to talk to anyone. I just want to be by myself and enjoying design. And like, I was pushing on the promoting online platforms instead of promoting the social media, like promoting social media and online platforms instead of going out. And Sean was like, no, we have to go out. And every time to cry, I will go out with him to all these events. I get used to it and I really like it right now, but it was like a big head-to-head because he has to force me to do something. And I had to agree, but something I don't typically do because I'm not really go to all events and all stuff like that.
You say that, like you say you hate going to events, but then when you're there, you have the best time ever. Like you love it. But it's just like getting you there is the hardest part.
I also think it's so energy consuming when you go to events. Like you get like so emotional, you talk to people, you learn a lot of stuff. And every time I come out from events, I'm like energy drained. And I have like, I need a little time to recover a little bit. That's why every time to new events, I'm like, okay, I just need to warm myself up and go to talk to people. Also, when I go to events, if I already got here, I have like positive mindset that I have to enjoy the time I'm here. I don't want to be miserable and like, okay, he just dropped me here. I still want to be enjoy time and make most of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
You give me the extroverted introvert vibe, and
Mm.
Sean is
Yeah.
definitely the
I'm
introverted
the introvert
extrovert.
that wants to be, I'm the introvert that wants to be an extrovert. She's the extrovert that wants to be an introvert. And it's like, because I'm terrible at like speaking in front of people and doing all that. And then she can do it, but she just won't want to. And I wish I could. It's like, it's so weird, but yeah.
Well, it's
So,
good.
Sean-
You guys are.
Sorry,
No, go ahead.
Jake. I was going to say, Sean, you have so you're currently, you have a day job, you have a full time. So this is kind of like Elina, you're full time. Sorry, can you guys explain your dynamic?
It's okay. From the beginning, when we started, I didn't have a job and I could go full time right from the bed. That's a little bit crazy. But Sean had full time job, but his full time job allowed us to like talk at the lunchtime. And sometimes he can take like an hour or so when we need to take an hour or so. That's why he his full time job. And also from the beginning, we don't know if it's gonna work out or not. And I have a grace period for myself. Like if it doesn't work out in first 6 months to a year, we will stop. And if you understand like we can do it or it's not working out, I will stop and I can go find a full-time job. But it doesn't make sense for Sean to lose his full-time job to find a new one again after, because he really
Right.
loves the place where he is right now. How you gonna
Yeah, I'm
continue
in like
to
a
move
very,
forward?
I'm in like a very fortunate situation with my work. I have like an incredible boss who understands running your own business on the side. I might need to take time to take a meeting during the day. Typically, I try and schedule meetings around noon so I can use my lunchtime so I don't have to take time off from work. But, sometimes I have to, and she allows me to, which is amazing. Blessed to have her as my boss.
Is your full time in design as well?
It is. Yeah. It's marketing and design. And then I just do a ton of other things. I'll do leasing for them as well. It's for Redburn Development. I don't know if you're familiar. Well, you're not from this area, right?
No,
Kristen?
but I can understand.
They're a real estate developer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked a
But-
lot on the last episode about how
Mhm.
you can implement different kind of work structures to just kind of weather the ups and downs of running a full time. And Kristin talks really passionately about how she can turn to waitressing with a local company to, weather some of those unsecure periods. And it's really great. It's really a benefit. So we love hearing how people are figuring out how to navigate that.
It's a hard question because for us, and I think for us first 3 to 4 years of our business is going to be years of sacrifice, because we work, like Sean work 14 hours per day. And also I have me who is pushing him to work this time because he going out from his full-time job and coming out in the office. And I try to structure it better because I'm administrative side of a business. But I also do a schedule. Like sometimes he's tired and here I'm like, you have to come to watch it by 6 if you're not coming. I'm going to be so mad. Because otherwise we could get, from the moment when we start, we didn't have as much projects and we can a little wiggle around. Right now we have projects and it's a lot for them. And one person, it's not possibly taking on of them. And Sean kind of have a different design style and different design traits than I'm doing. And sometimes projects what he does, I can possibly do, but he just do it better than me. Because he do it time after time after time after time, and he already has like eye to it. We just pass it to him to take care of. That's why we have to work like yesterday. Thursday, we left office at 2 a.m. at night. I was driving too early, and he has to wake up at like 7 to go to work. And I
wake up and then I scroll on Instagram for an hour and a half, and then I roll out of bed and hop in the shower and go to work.
Yeah. Can't relate to that at all. Yeah, definitely don't do
while
that.
he like at the daytime, yeah. But like my dream is to this year, maybe we can move him some days, or maybe start with some days that he gets like full day at the Spaceout. It's just because help our dynamic and work together, because as soon as we stop talking to each other, everything kind of falls apart.
Yeah.
That's why we kind of cannot work separately at home. We had to come to office at least 3 times per week, because as soon as we stop sharing our thoughts, sharing what's going on in the project, we're just moving backwards instead of forward. Even like mostly I work from home at the daytime, And we basically don't need an office because Zoom exists, but it just in-person decisions and in-person discussions and like so important. I think 2-person is great. I don't think I can do a business with anyone but Sean from now because it's like so weird relationship kind of thing because it's partnership, but we're also supposed to be friends, but we're also supposed to have like a really clear boundaries what we don't cross. Because when we become too friendly with each other, and we kind of best friends, but in business, when we become too friendly with each other, it gives you like, if I need to say something harsh because it's harming our business, or if he needs to say something harsh because it's harming our business, we cannot take it personally. And if we come too close as a friends, we taking it personally. That's why we have to like figure out a way how we interact with each other, what like activities we go with each other, because our kind of family collide right now. We don't have a choice because of us, because we work nights and we go to events together and they have to deal with us all the time. Like, where do we draw the boundaries, what we cannot talk about? And it took us like a moment to figure it out. Okay, if we talk about the business, it's a business, we're not getting offended, or we're not, it's just a long way how to figure out how to work with each other. And it's like not the environment that you typically get in the workplace, because workplace, you don't typically talk about the stuff that we talk, like about the pricing, about the project, about how we schedule ourselves, who work for, what responsibilities and all stuff. You usually don't touch up on that. And in the workplace, I think it's more people talk nicely to you when we are, because we do like a little small talk before, like, and they say like, really nice thing about you, and afterwards, can you do this and that? And we just don't have time for that. We just go to straight to the point. Okay, we need to fix this and that and this because this is not working. And if we continue go this way, it's gonna harm us. And we don't have time to just do with like 20 minutes sweet talk to make sure it sounds. It's just really weird. But
It's
it
really
works.
interesting that you bring that up, though, because I think that, Jake, I know have you hired anyone as like contractors or anything underneath you at all for any projects?
Not
Yet?
often, but I have. I have before.
Yeah, so like I have a couple main like go-to designers and strategists that I work with, and I would say that they definitely touch on the line of like friendships as well. And so I totally can empathize and understand that sort of perspective and that cap that you have to kind of put on as like a business. Like when you're running a business, the conversations aren't always going to be flowery. You kind of have to just be direct, cut to the point, and just say, hey, this is nothing personal. This is how we're going to keep the ship from sinking and move on, not point fingers. You know what I mean? I think a huge part with me, I would say, and I don't know if this is something that you guys have noticed, but when there's a situation where I think some best practices that I like to think of that I've grown into is that if there's a conflict with a client or a deliverable, it's not one person. It doesn't matter who. Everyone has a say and a touch and a hand in it. So like when fixing it, it's a group effort. We're just, how are we going to fix this? Like collectively, it's not something that we point at someone or specifically, something going on. And then also too, like I defend all of everyone that I work with, any artist, any animator, anyone that ever like comes and touches any piece. If anyone kind of comes at them for whatever case, and there's been very few, thankfully, but I'm defending them throughout. You know what I mean? Like I brought them in. That's my like curation. That's my, so if there's a situation, then that's a discussion that I wedge myself between and protect my collective of people from whoever that outside source is. And I'm the one that's kind of doing that conflict resolution. But I can imagine that you can, there's so many different avenues of this kind of that has to go on.
So funny because me and Sean, we both like non-conflict person. If like we get like a coffee or anything done wrong in the store, we just going away. We don't say anything. We both non-conflict, like that's all. We try to avoid it as much as we can. But the situation, if something goes wrong and people wrong to us, I think Sean protects me in this case and I protect him. And it's so weird because I couldn't stand up for myself, but if somebody does something to him wrong in the business area, I will stand up and say, no, we cannot tolerate that because it's not right for you and it's not right for our business. We cannot do this. And same thing where I will like like, don't worry, like, I can pick something and don't charge for that or do stuff like that and overwork myself, he will come in and say, like, okay, you have to stop doing that because it's not okay. And sometimes, like, every time I get frustrated or like meltdown, and I can call him, I'm like, hey, okay, I right now in the bad mental state because I'm really angry. Can you help me to write email or look over the situation? Maybe I reacted wrong to it. And he will help me out with that. But this is funny because in a lot of situations, I will not speak up for myself. I will just continue to do work and maybe work for free for forever. But because it's two of us, I think I feel responsible for second person. And I think with him too, if Sean can work, I tell everyone if he can work for free, he will work for free all his life. But because it's two of us and we need to keep lights on, it's kind of give a boost that we're responsible to make it work and stand up and speak up.
Yeah.
Jake, you have a ton of corporate experience. When you were in like Time Warner, can we even talk the names?
Yeah.
Name drop them.
Fuck those guys. No, I'm kidding.
No, but when
They're
you were
great.
I'm curious, like when it came to like conflicts and you're working with like very, very large projects, like how did your team leads handle that? Did they protect you guys, or if you were the lead, you know, I know you were multiple hats there.
Well, it's funny because we were like we were the corporate communications department for the company, and like I think my technical boss was like the vice president of communications. So like we had a lot of authority to say, this is how we communicate, this is how we do things. But we had not a ton of people involved in the process, you know? We were a very small team. It was me as the designer most days and a creative director who was also managing all the video. And there were like some contractors brought in to help with that because that's a much bigger kind of production. And that's about it. Like and then there was our boss who was kind of working directly with the CEO and the higher ups of the company getting approval. So there was a lot of office politics in kind of educating different departments about the role of design, the role of creativity. So yeah, you kind of have to be diplomatic in that way, where you're talking with different departments that aren't familiar with what the goals of design are, of messaging and all that. But yeah, it's really important to defend the people in your company and your team and to give people the grace of not necessarily having the same understanding of what roles are, what role this practice plays, like how to give feedback appropriately and get feedback when you need it from different people.
Yeah, and Sean so you are kind of more of on the client-facing side buffer, correct? Is that what I understand?
Sort of. We bounce back and forth on who's the client-facing person. Typically, it's whoever is not working on the project is the one that's handling client communication. And then, the other way around.
Can you break that down though? So that's separate. Is that obviously intentional?
Yeah, it's so. What?
I just want to say we're still working on it because we tried like so many different ways how we can handle clients. Sometimes, like when we have returning clients, some of us build more closer relationship with them than other one. And when the other one tries to chime in, it's look like stranger walk into the room and nobody knows him. Even we present each other, we usually like in the first call and the important calls, we're always together. Like Sean has his clients who is 95% of the time talking to him, and when he have emergency, he's out of office or something, they know I exist and I can chime in and help them out. And same with me. I have my clients who I working with particularly and I lead them, and he can chime in. I think moving forward from now on, we're trying to, because we become too friendly, we love communicating with people and we love most like our clients and we become friends, like, and we have urge to help every time we get requests. Sometimes that's why we have to overwork and we get a little biased. Like if client call us really late at night, we don't say, okay, we cannot help you because it's 1 a.m. We go on work. And I think this is something that we need to work on. And we just talked to like Sean has a client who he works on right now. And we do with some clients already that I deal with all the paperwork, communication, invoicing, and all stuff. If I have clients who I work and lead on, he deals with all paperwork, communication. Not communication like about a project, but mostly about the accounting, paperwork, and all this stuff, and then we can help. Because otherwise we overload ourselves, not intentionally, because we become too friendly and we cannot see the light. Whereas, okay, it's like we probably should wait until tomorrow to respond because it's like 12 o'clock at night and it's not, it's just hard to work all every night.
It's funny,
like
you
that.
have such strong like internal boundaries between the two of you as partners that once the client comes in, it's like, well, we gotta enforce a little bit more of a boundary there. It's funny to see it kind of work from the inside out rather than the outside in.
I'm
How do
sorry,
you
I'm gonna
guys-
let Sean to speak because I always interrupt him.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
She speaks way better than me.
No,
And this is
I
her
think you
second
both are
language
very
too,
articulate.
so
No, you guys are both very articulate and totally different. You guys have different, you can see the way that you guys kind of, just your perspectives. We can, at least from my perspective, I can see how complementary you both are of each other. No, I was going to ask, I don't know, Jake, sorry if I'm stealing that. I'm like,
No, you got it.
All these questions. These are like so cool. I love all the feedback that you guys are saying. So I guess my question next to follow up all of that is that how do you guys like figure out, who leads what, do you guys kind of attract your own sense of like clients and then you pull them in and that's already like you kind of own that lead? Or when something comes in, do you guys say like, is this going to be better for you to lead this or me to lead this? Does it have to do with people, personality, certain deliverables that they're asking, how much workload you have? Like I'm sure there's a bunch of them, but curious to know where you guys kind of handle that.
Or is it even like a lead situation when it gets to the work? Because it sounds like in terms of like the relationship with clients, it kind of favors one person over the other because you're bringing them in, from two different circles. But when it gets to the work, you're passing it back and forth with iterations and designs. Is there a lead there where somebody's saying like, I'm taking priority on this project, or is it truly like equally split down the line?
I don't think it's equally split. I don't know what Elina thinks, but I think so. Elina handles a lot more of our website design and development side of things. She excelled with that in school and has even grown further since starting this. And then I'm more on the branding side. So I handle design work like that. I'm trying to get into the web design side, not the development half, just the design side. And Alina's let me kind of step into her role a little bit there, but I don't want to overstep too. So
I kind of want to say, like, in the beginning, like, I don't know if as a designers, in the beginning, we didn't know how to share your work because it's, like, right now, we don't have one particular piece that I did, one particular piece that Sean did. It's all collide because we both work on it. I think, concerning the clients, who takes which client, I think we start with clients both. And I think over the process of the talking, they chose one person who like feel more comfortable to talk with, or like the interest more aligned, or it's easier to talk with, or like it's one of us does more work for them. Like we had one client who we started both and they moved on with Sean. And I'm like, okay, it's fine. You better to understand each other. And it's interesting because even like when you look for stock imagery for something, when I start to look for this client for stock imagery, but don't like any of it. When Sean starts, it's like first round go. And I'm like, okay, you have already like mental connection. It's better when you lead the client because you understand their needs. You like dealing with in this environment for so long. And when I try to do something that's weird, and same with me, like Sean say, we also do a different stuff inside the office. We have both same skill, but also Sean, like Sean, the illustrator reason. Sometimes he know the buttons, but I look at him and like, how? Why I'm like, I've been working in Illustrator as long as you do, but you know, all these buttons. And I'm like, I never used it before. How are you doing this? In Illustrator, he's more proficient than I am because he can, like, we both can create the same result, but he just do it twice as fast as I did. And same, like, I do more web stuff, and for past 2 years, I did a lot of web design. That's why, for me, I know, like, what size button looks better, or what margin is supposed to be, or stuff like that I don't need to rethink, and this for me works better and faster. And another thing is take my knowledge and my design and give it to Sean and say, okay, right now I give up. I'm not going to say anything. Just go try to design it. And in this point, it's really crucial because also me and Sean really are different on how we take feedback. Because also all people are different. And I think it's interesting that you touch point on that you need to teach people how to take feedback and it's not personal. Because Sean, like if you come to Sean and say, this is not working, he needs like exact what's not working. And like it needs to be on the little bittersweet delivery. Because you need to say what's working and what's not. Or he's gonna get, personally, he's not offended personally, but it's kind of like, you can see how lights wearing down in his eyes when you say, okay, this is look bad. He like get uninspired. Really. And I don't like sweet talk like at all. I better do not like, I'm like, okay, just tell me what's not working and I'm gonna go and fix it.
Because I like to be built up. I like to be built up and then broken back down. So I need to like be up and then back down. That's like, that's for me. But
well, it's nice because you get both. You get kind of the emotional feedback from one partner and you get the blunt feedback from the other. So somebody's always there to kind of get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, Elina, do you want to touch on how we met in school? Our first, I don't know, do you want to bring that up at all?
Yeah, like we was at school and I was working at my app design. And to Sean a little point to build up, Sean always, like his design always stand out and I was a little envy of him because I will always walk around and oh, this stuff look better than I do. And she was like, I always looked up to him and we didn't talk much.
Really?
Because in the beginning we don't, because I was a year older in the classes than your group are. And because I had previous degrees, my all classes got mixed up. That's why I started with one group of people and I finished with another one. And in the beginning, when I was one group of people, I will see his work, but we didn't share much classes together. I was like, okay, his really work is great, but we like didn't share any classes, so interact or work together on any projects. But when we start working on projects, I saw him in the class. I'm like, okay, I like his work. He's probably going to give me feedback. I just going to come and ask. And I showed him my design, and first response that I get, your design looks like shit, and that's it. It was one sentence. I turn away. I'm like, thanks, bye. It's how we become friends.
Hey, but wait, you have to tell them what ended up happening with that project.
Yeah, I fixed it. Like, okay, I didn't fix it tragically. I just fixed like my little, my buttons was like that. And it was like second app I designed. I didn't understand that like I visually cannot place them. I just place them like that and say like, your buttons are like huge. It's like taking whole screen. Can you lower them down? And eventually I won a award for that, but it was off. I thank you for feedback, but it was just
not just any award. She won the Betsy at the Addy Awards for this project.
Wow.
So that's like, that's pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In school too? Like in school you won the award? That's pretty great.
Yes, it was the student,
that's awesome.
Submission.
So did he really say this app looks like shit, or is that what it felt like he said?
It's like, no,
I said
really
that.
Say it.
It was a joke. I wasn't being serious.
You're like, you should have seen it. I had to say it.
But the point is, like, Sean never hold back on what he's saying. And I think I liked it because a lot of times in the design industry, or with people who are not in design, you show them something, oh, look what I did. And we're like, oh, this is really nice. Oh, this is super cool. And like, not, it's really not. You just don't want to hurt my feelings. And this was a person who didn't afraid to hurt my feelings. A little bit too much.
Okay, wait, quick. I have to like ask this question right at this moment here because you just spoke on it. So as a designer, we're all very used to being blunt in critique, right? In crit, what we're understanding. Has that ever crossed over? Jake's laughing because I know he knows it's crossed over in my life, probably not in a good way. But have you ever like just didn't mean to shoot from the hip, but you did? In like outside of design, and then you realize that like you're like this isn't normal, like not everyone can handle like just blunt feedback, you know what I mean? Like that's not like a normal thing that people are trained to understand.
The way you
You
tear
guys have to
down a
deal with that.
design cannot be
not
the way
so-
you tear down your partner.
No,
Like,
it's
you know what I mean? Like if there's like, and if I try something and I'm like, that, I mean, not someone's personal cooking, but if we're out and I'm like, yeah, it's not doing it for me. Not everyone will say that, even if it's like we're at a cafe or like, it's not even anyone's home cooking, you know what I mean? It's just, I've noticed that. It's a unique thing to our world. Have you guys agreed?
I think it's so funny because I think me and Sean, we talk a lot about the outward design or stuff like that, what we see, like even interior design or like how the car look like or stuff like that. We walk around and we can say something about that, but we only do between each other. And it's always never leaves the office because Sean has a job. He don't know whose girlfriend and mom designed that.
Yeah, you never know.
Sometimes we can put the wrong tree and offend someone and they will not understand that. That's why between us, we can like a little talk about like, I really don't think this is working or like how we can put this plant in this room or stuff like that. But for people outside of a design, we know it's hard to explain. Yeah, that's why words of face come out. Like when somebody asks you, how does this look like design-wise, you smile like, this look nice.
Yeah, I've come a long way, but I will say that I've had some rough moments.
Also, it's funny because I was a lawyer before and
Oh,
design feedbacks for me, it's not that harsh when I was
not compared
talking.
to player. No, I wouldn't
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah, because before it's kind of different like how you read the room and it's more positive and all stuff and you're more considered about people's emotions and this stuff.
That's why when people give Elina feedback, you can just go, overruled.
Yeah.
I'm actually
Objection
like,
sustained.
well, I mean, didn't we say that both of you are conflict averse?
Yes.
Yeah.
Law is
I
not
hate conflict.
Yeah,
averse.
Yeah,
right.
true. That is
Law
true.
is like, I like conflict. This is let me at them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I also
True,
think it's a lot of TV shows and all stuff making this feel. I think law is more to make people to come to conclusions and a lot of stuff doesn't go to court when you can make a peace. You just come there to make a peace and make sure everyone feel comfortable. The person who you protect feel comfortable and safe in the environment. And it's not about conflict, it's about ability to talk and to figure out what's wrong and how you can solve it. And I don't think the lawyers are conflict people. I think that it's more patient side than being in a conflict, because if you go and fight and you don't know how to talk, this probably will result in a fist fights instead of.
Those are some valuable skills that you've probably brought over too, I'm sure.
Yeah, I was like assistant of a lawyer for a long time, but I also was young, but a little different. It's a completely different environment because all the typeface that I used at Times New Roman for a long period of time. And when I come to the world that it existed different, like previously I will go to a Word document and I will not understand why they have all these typefaces. Right now I'm like, why it's not enough? We should upload this one. Why I have to go to like download all of them? It's completely different words and completely different perspective.
I will say a little college design hack. Whenever you have to write a paper for a non-design class, just use different fonts and they're immediately impressed. They're immediately like, oh, this is at least a B. I don't care what you're writing, but you took the effort to.
Oh, you know what's funny about being designer in real life? Did you like the packaging right now or like some stuff? If something like fonts are wrong or like packaging look bad or something bad me, I will not use this product. I'm like, oh my God. Even if it's nice product, I will always like close my eyes to pour in another bottle because I cannot stand it. Or otherwise, if my design are really good, but product is not really good, I will still, or I never tried it before, or it doesn't have a review, I will go and grab this product and like go home because look how nice design is. Or me and Sean also have a peak. We will go like to the shopping and we will send each other packages. Did you see this cookie package? It's really cool. And it's really weird thing.
Yeah. You want to know what's weird about that? I actually go the other way around. I look for the cheapest packaging because I know the product is the cheaper version. Or it's like, it's more affordable. So it costs less for me. So I like gravitate. I'm like, there's the value good right there.
Right. It's
and
visible.
Yeah.
I'm a huge ingredient snob, so I'm always looking at the ingredients before, I'll go low because it's like if you could find a really expensive product that's with crap ingredients, so it's like I definitely
Yeah,
test that. So
I had like a lot of food allergy that affected my skin condition. And like a couple of years ago, I had to go with all ingredients and like sometimes package or like the brand looks really nice. You turn around, but so the problem, like this is like cheaper product and packaging doesn't look that good, but like it's really nice ingredients in there. And it's so misleading all the time. Sometimes like
it's
I
deceiving.
still buy some product because I love the packaging so much. And it's really weird, but I will buy once and that's it.
I was
But
going to say,
otherwise,
What if
Same
you
way.
just bought the good packaging and then bought the cheaper
remove it.
version, just
Yeah.
kept refilling it with that? You could do that. That's an option.
Yeah,
'cause-
so I just stopped buying the phone, like the containers
advertising.
that doesn't have anything on it, and just put it in there to just make look nice.
So can I change subjects or kind of focus, maybe not change subjects, but focus on maybe a specific angle or pivot
yeah,
here?
shoot.
So I know part of our sort of topics or discussions was maybe grazing over taking the leap. And I'm curious if you guys want to dive into how are you guys sustaining business so that you can take a leap? Are you doing certain actions that you feel are ramping you up there, or are you thinking about taking a leap, Sean? I guess that's more a question to you, right?
So, yeah, I think I don't know about taking the full leap. I think we've been in discussion about me maybe taking a day or two off from my day job to be full-time during those days during the week for Spaceout instead. But taking that full leap for me is terrifying right now. It's not that we don't have enough clients or enough projects. I think we just don't value ourselves. Like our pricing is just not where it needs to be right now, but we've been working on it and we're recognizing that. And we're like, okay, we definitely need to increase the price if we want to make this work long term.
So you're getting the clients, you're getting the inquiries. So it really is financial. What's holding you back from making that switch?
Yeah. And I don't know if
Yeah.
the financial will ever look good to the
Him to
point
leave.
where I can, right. Well, not like that. We have another, like a mentor of ours who said there's never a right time to take the leap. You just have to be smart with it and just do it and it will work. But it's like doing that is the hard part. So, but you've taken a leap. So I don't know, maybe you can share a little bit of your insight on how you managed to do that.
Who, me or Kristin?
Both,
Both of you.
actually.
Jake,
Yeah.
you can answer for it. No, you want me to answer? Whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my hand was kind of forced. Like my job locally had ended, and the opportunity was either, go on the job hunt, which I did, and it was miserable just trying to apply for jobs in this economy in this day and age. And I had weathered many rounds of layoffs at a very successful company, a Fortune 500 company. And you work there for years and establish a sense of security, and you're just as expendable as everybody else. And that was a bit of a life lesson there. And then getting another job at a startup that ended up ending was another kind of I'm putting my livelihood in somebody else's hands, and it's not as secure as it feels. When I had the opportunity to make a different career move, I just thought I'd rather be responsible for my own self rather than giving somebody else the leverage over whether I can feel secure or not. So my own kind of necessity of having financial security, ironically, was taking this big gamble of, building a business for yourself, but at least it's building something that you have direct input in. And that's, I had enough savings where I had runway to try it out and try and go full time. And I had previous clients that were holding down the finances that I needed to be successful, and just gave it a shot. And 1 year in, it's going pretty good.
Hey,
And
love to hear it.
I'll say it does help to keep costs as low as possible so that you're not you're not tying yourself up with, I need to hit certain numbers or I need to do that, which I love with both you're talking about your full-time job and Kristin talking about having, outside work to help weather those storms, where if you can find a way to navigate the unpredictability, it just makes everything so much easier. So like for people that are maybe thinking about making a leap and are frustrated by the ebbs and flows of it all, there's always part-time work, there's always Instacart, DoorDash, that kind of thing, whatever you need to do to support what's going on. Not that that has to be it, but there are plenty of ways to kind of figure it out.
Yeah, I think what Jake's getting to. Oh, sorry.
No, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. I was just gonna
Go
say.
ahead.
I was just gonna say. I think just being resourceful in general is definitely a skill that if you don't have it before self-employment, you will learn it.
I do think it's really like I am Take a Leap 2 years ago when we start, and first it's also like people around you, how they react to you. A lot of my friends say like, why are you doing that? Because you can go get a job and be happy and don't work until 2 a.m. But I also think possibly with all first year we was like ups and downs. We didn't have much clients. We undercharged really badly because we knew what we do it, we knew how to do it, but we didn't have like a first-hand experience on it, and we was scared to promise something and not be able to deliver. That's why we will take our time and we will undercharge, but we did that intentionally to make sure we get like some practice work as us to leading the project completely ourselves. And I think we're working to it right now to be like where we get pretty good amount of project that we can be like 100% sure what's storms we can encounter each project with each client, how everybody different, that what bad stuff can happen and good stuff can happen, and make sure we avoid all the problems on the way. Of finding the side job, I do think I could not do another design job like Sean does, because I think the way how you feel comfortable stops you from moving. Because even with when we do ourselves, sometimes we like find the moment where we're really comfortable that we are right now, and we both stop moving as much as we need. And I do think the leap is important. And Sean's scared, I understand, because I was scared 2 years ago when we started doing our stuff and like, okay, what if it not work out? What if we cannot make any money? And like, what we're just wasting our time? It's all these thoughts going forward. And I think the leap is important. And I think he will know when it's important. He just needs to dip his feet a little bit in the water and feel that it's okay. And that's why we're gonna transition him smoothly instead of harsh cut. But I think personally, as we talk with Sean, I think if you're gonna do the harsh cut, we're gonna grow as twice as fast, because he will be in uncomfortable position that's gonna help him to put all his focus on the one thing, but us to be stable, bring more clients, do the job that you want, and we just niche down too. Before we will accept any design work that we can accept right now, we only accept websites, brand support, and branding. And sometimes we accept the illustration when projects are really interesting. Otherwise, our projects, we do social media as a brand support, but we will not create like different social media content or stuff like that. We had to nail this down. One more time, my final thought, I think if Sean take a leap, I think if anyone feels to take a leap and start freelancing, I think it's a good way to try to freelance while you have something to support yourself, because one way it's when you try to survive because you don't have to eat anything and you also need to design. You're already stressed out about running a business. You're going to stress out to being able to survive. That's why you kind of need to have a pillow that you can fall back on. And another thing is, if you have a full-time job and you get really comfortable and you're just having fun, it's not going to grow too. That's why it's kind of balanced. And
it's tough.
Yeah.
It's like whatever you're comfortable with, you need to.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on that because this is not my first time trying to go full-time, like being full-time as a designer. And it's tough when you don't have enough skin in the game. Like between working locally in Saratoga and being downsized with my corporate job, I had a year worth of severance to kind of live off of and make a go of like freelancing. I didn't know how to do it really. Like I had been freelancing as a side hustle all the time since college, but I didn't really know how you go about getting clients and just kind of hoping and wishing they would show up at my door foolishly. But when you have too much security, it's hard to really get into that mode of learning the lessons you need to learn to go after the client and to figure out the business processes of it all. You can kind of live in this like half step between both worlds. So I can understand why making a leap is hard if there's not enough incentive to go one way or the other.
Mm.
And I think it's really important if you are going to make a leap one way or another, to anybody out there, to really figure out what that looks like financially, in terms of your time, in terms of your effort, to kind of understand how to make the unpredictable a little bit more predictable and to alleviate some of that fear so that your focus is put in the right direction. Does that make sense?
And
Am I
yeah,
kind of
I actually
thinking
want to
about it at the
share.
same time?
We actually we found out that just talking about stuff doesn't make the stuff happen. Right now we created the Spaceout game. Spaceout game is like we sit down and write down what we want by the end of the year. And we brought it for little pieces what we need to do, but it happens. It's those to create we do from each project, we separate money for taxes, 30% from each project going in there. And we also have like the amount for the savings that always in savings account. It's not untouchable in case of emergency or something happens. We need like computer breakdown or like we need pay for something really urgent. And we also have like regular accounts that we get paid off for ourselves and stuff like that. But we have a game right now, how many clients we have to secure and how much money we have to make every month so we can transition him. But we have enough and how much money we have to have in the saving for in case if we don't get paid for 2 to 6 months, Sean gonna be covered. And I gonna be covered too. And moving forward, we hope we will have like people who we work with. And we have a rule, we have to have 6-month coverage for each person who comes in our team to make sure this person always get paid, even if we don't. That's why, like in transitioning right now, we just try to create security pillar for him, for he feel more safe to be transitioned.
Yeah, a good tool that I think is really that helped me when I was in that place was if you had a designer actually kind of give this kind of piece of wisdom, but it's pretty standard, I think. I don't know. Anyway, think of the big number that you want to reach for the year and then work backwards and then figure out what that means per price, per client that acquisition or whatever. And so once you figure out that bigger number, that will cover both of you and whatever overhead you need as well, that you kind of fill in those gaps as you kind of get smaller to that, okay, well, how many projects is that per year? But it could be, what do I need to price at, right? So if I know that like I can only take 8 websites and 4 branding between 2 people and 3 contractors or whatever it is, I'm just shooting numbers out there. Then you can and then you have that bigger number, you can kind of figure out, okay, well then I need to do X amount of these people or, Y amount of these, whatever. And then you can be like, well, okay, so who in those markets are, willing to pay for those kind of, and you kind of go from there from like a strategic lens. I actually started my business when I was 26. So I was working at a high-end branding agency out of Boston, and it was all creatives. It was like 200. We had a virtual VR team. We had digital imaging and digital art, branding. There was like 12 of us, all different like small triangular teams. Like it was very high creative. And what I noticed a little bit, my story is a little bit kind of like Jake's in the sense that through a mental breakdown, I was doing 80-hour weeks. It was insane. It was traditional agency, crazy moments. So a little different. A little different, but yeah, people were like, you're 26, you're like in your 20s, people are sleeping on couches on the weekend, you're like, this is not the life I want, got it, not making the money that I want from a branding agency, got it, you know what I mean? And I was doing freelance on the side, trying to do high-end creative for a agency and then also doing high-end creative on your own, like your brain just doesn't. And to be honest, like, I'm not that like sedentary of a human. Like I'm like up, I need to go on hikes or out. I need to be up on my feet. Even a standing desk isn't alone. I need to be like that little hamster on a treadmill. And so it just wasn't working. So I actually found myself into, I was getting more and more freelance. That was really exciting to me. And then also like even the branding agency that gobbled me up, a year or so before my leaving, they were always attracted to my work, not anything that I did. Prior to my last agency, I was working with clients like Spalding, Fruit of the Loom, Vanity, all these massive clients in an e-commerce agency, which is, very early on in my career. And they didn't care about that stuff. They wanted to see all the stuff that I was doing for like the restaurants and all these like little things. And so I was like, this is where I want to be. This is my calling. And so when I went into it, I was 26. So I cashed out my 401k. That's how I start. That was my skin in the game. I was like, that's what I'm going to have to do. I picked up waitressing part-time again, which I was doing like 20 to 1,000 steps a day. So my blood, I was like, yes, I'm walking, I'm running, and I'm making cash, which wasn't, huge in the grand scheme of things, but I was just moving. So I was mentally healthy. And then I could just, from there, just do the things I wanted to do when I could. And also I should explain, like the moonlighting, the waitressing for me, I don't want anyone listening to this think that they should have a heavy crutch on anything other than their design practice. If it's providing mental health and a pillow of peace while you're at the negotiation table, have it in your like repertoire. If it's taking up more than 5-10% of your revenue, you're already leaning on it too hard. You need it just like a touch and go point in a relationship with someone that can give you that. And it seems honestly, Sean, that it sounds like your full-time actually already has that mentality of being flexible with you. Maybe not to that point, but like that's amazing. If you can keep those relationships, keep them in your life, because those people will just give you that sense of, my client base is interesting where I'm slammed right now. Q4 and Q1 are absolutely insane. And then during the summer, I'm light. And that's like haymaking season down in like Southern Coast, Rhode Island. So for waitresses and stuff. So I don't do, like a ton of waitressing, but I can, because it's not affecting my sequence. And it's also not really affecting, it's just there to like, I'm not good at sitting still when there's crickets. And you guys know when like the market's up and down and ebbs and flows. So I need to be moving. Yeah. So for me, it's
you need those
health.
20,000 steps, however you can get it.
I need the 20. I'm crazy in that, but 20 to 30,000 steps. Yeah. If you do a double, that's what we clock on our watches. And you know what? I love it because it's creating that balance for me. And I'll stop rambling on this. It's just my little ad here. But I think that people need to think about that as well when you're doing these heavily like design brain is like so taxing, and you're also sitting down. Like not everyone needs to be up and doing crazy stuff like me, but I think trying to figure out those balancing acts so that you can be the most creative person and put you in the most creative spot is so, so important, especially like it's integral as a business owner in a design practice, I think. So anyway, that's my ad.
To jump on that, I think the biggest lesson I've learned and that I can kind of champion for other people is we get so focused on the work of design that in order to like transition from craftsmen making great design work to being a business, I think you need to start looking at design not in terms of the work that you're producing, but design of your own life. Like you kind of have to consider like the factors, not just of the business, but like, what am I willing to allow in my life? What changes am I willing to make in order to sustain this life? And is it practical? So not just from a point of like, can I make a website or can I do this, but am I charging what I need to charge at a rate that is both good for me and for the time that I can allot for it, but also validated by the market? Like, can I get somebody to pay me this much money to do that because it has the value or whatever? Like, I remember thinking out of school, oh, I can just freelance and I'll charge $50 an hour and I only need to make this many hours and I'll just have to get 1,000 clients a year. And it's like, wait, You're not going to be able to do that. You're not going to be able to do that. And there are people that go the route of like, I'm going to make a course and sell it to 1,000 people and charge this much. And that's going to be how I have, my revenue for the year. And that's great. But are you the type of person that can get 1,000 people in the door buying something for you? Or are you the type of person where you can work really hard to get 5 people to cover your expenses for the year and you charge $20,000, whatever thing you have to do that? So I think it's important to consider all the factors of how do I want my life to look? How do I want the projects to pan out, and what's reasonable in terms of my own space and what I can get done with other people's lives.
I think there's a huge difference
Also-
too when go ahead.
Mhm. No, I just want to say I agree with both of you, but I also think it's for every person is different. Like me and Sean, I think I'm more close to Kristin and with Space, but like I can design for Spaceout. I'm not sure if I can design for anyone else and Spaceout at the same time because I need my battery, whereas I work on creative or I get burned out. I need like to do something. I got a dog because while we was starting, we work like 14 hours per day, and I got a really crazy dog who need to work like 5 hours per day. And even I will not want to do it, but going outside and just walk, just do stuff, or getting distracted by something, not design-wise, I think it's important. And at some moment of a time, I thought like, I probably, when we was not doing that great, because it's ups and downs all the time, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna need to get a part-time job to just feel more secure and not rushing, like how much, not being so scared to say no to the client.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was important part because sometimes, like when we need the money, you get accepted every job, even if you understand it's underpaid, because you get scared if you tell the bigger price, if you tell like actual amount of hours you need to work on, not cutting it in half and like telling the, okay, it's gonna be like, because we found ourselves, what we do is, it's actually funny because it happened a couple of days ago. Sean was teaching and we are underestimating ourselves all the time. That's why like if Sean comes with the project, I give him how much hours he gonna need on that, and he gives me how much I do. Because we ended up, he said he needs 5 hours to complete the job, and eventually when we start to calculate step by step how much hours he spent, it was 31. And it was happens all the time. We think we're gonna spend like 10 hours and eventually ended up 40, and we work overtime because we have like multiple clients at the same time and we underestimate, but we also cannot deliver a bad product. It's kind of internally like if we know that like we have only 10 hours, but we need to overwork because it doesn't look good. And even sometimes I understand that not everyone has a design eyes, and probably if we give us like some products that we need in 10 hours, so a person will not complain about that, and maybe will be pretty happy with that. But like if we're not happy with that, it's not going out. We're gonna stay 10 more hours or 30 more hours. And from doing it over and over, we kind of adjusting how our process works, and we start breaking down every single project we have by the hours and by what we do to make sure for next time we actually tell appropriate hours, not we're gonna do it in 5 hours, but actually internally we work further on that. We overestimate our ability to work fast because sometimes you cannot catch creativity, and sometimes you cannot do it in one day, and you have to spend a week to just go back and forth to make sure you find this right sweet spot. I do think we underestimate, like it's also, we work fast, but sometimes we work fast, we work efficient and deliver a good product. It's not the same. Because to go into a design phase, you think, oh, I'm going to knock it down in 2 hours. But before you go to knock it down in 2 hours, you have to do research. You have to talk to the client 10 times to make sure what they want. You have to see like what's out there to make sure like you don't come up with similar design that competitors do and you not intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
It's so many steps and so many things to do before you actually see took like 2 to 10 hours to design and charge for that. And it's also weird because sometimes like, oh, we didn't actually put our hands on the computer and design something. We had to like go and do research and charging for just looking for competitors and stuff. Like it just feels weird in the first place. But otherwise, you spend really time on it.
Yeah. I think it's really important when you start to figure out, like, what does my design life look like to have a really accurate idea of what are the total hours that go into this project, not just design work itself, but the administrative work, the, marketing work to get the leads coming in. I think as people start to, figure out what their side business is or their full-time business is, it's not to overplan, because you can get stuck in that planning phase, but to have a real kind of pragmatic look at reasonably can only take on this many clients or these many projects, and are these numbers something that are doable, and to factor that into whether that's something you can sustain for the time being until it grows.
I would actually frame it as like what is the necessary like minimum, right? So like if you look at it from like a bigger scope and then you dwindle it down to actually like doing the work, be like, all right, if I have to charge at this amount and we need at least this amount of clients at the same time, so month after month, this is where we get to, or whatever that case may be, or quarter after quarter. And then you actually like break down each of those projects and are like, this is how much time has to be. It has to be under this amount of time for me to get to that goal. You have to have that kind of like awareness, to, because then the bigger that, oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's also funny because it's going to be our third year, and second year we did this. We write down the minimum, like we sit down with Sean. And because it's two of us, we had to write down each personal expenses, like how much should Nancy put in the car, how much you pay for your cell phone, or stuff like that. A little thing, but in case that we can cover it to transition him. And our goal was to cover our minimum expenses and a little bit more. But we figured out if we put our goal, we complete the goal on 70%, because it's hard as we try, it's always 70%. This year we do different. This year we put like really insane amount of number what we can possibly do with amount of a project we get, like, but we separated like how much possible project we can get, which project is supposed to be, what cost of a project is supposed to be, how much per hours go. We like write down everything, but we put like the maximum what we can do. And instead of going from minimum, what we need to, because I think our brains work different, and reach minimum, we feel like, hooray, we did it. And we keep pushing ourselves, but when we have like a maximum, we know that it's a little bit crazy number and we're not going to complete it on 100%, but at least we're going to try. And in our situation, it's kind of both sacrifice, because full-time, not full-time, and I think first 3 to 4 years, I think it's going to be hard, because when everyone, like Sean is younger than me, and Sean has more friends because I'm staying home most of the time. But sometimes like we have to say, no, we cannot come to a party, or like in the event we have to like Saturday I had to leave because I have to go to the office or stuff like that. Or like at the night time somebody like, oh, let's go get a coffee or something. And like, no, I'm working. And a lot of people have misunderstanding because, oh, you have your own studio, you can just stand up and go. And I'm like, yes, we have like our own studio. That's why we have to stay here 60 hours per week for first 2 years until we have people who can help us and we have delegate some responsibilities and work less, because managing your business and working yourself, it means you're going to work as twice hard as until you get to a place where you can have someone to help with some stuff.
Yeah.
At least it's 2 of us, but I hope we have a sales guy one day who can help us with the sales and managerial accounts, because it's the most hardest part.
It's one thing to like go from I'm somebody that has the skill at doing something that's valuable, to then saying I need to be a business person who not only can do the skill, but can sell the skill and market the skill and manage the business and get the studio space and do all that stuff. And then the third degree of like, oh, you're also a human being that needs to like have a life and not be just a robot that burns out all the time. Getting all those kind of plates spinning is the trick of it all, I think. And it's,
I also think
very hard.
Like before we will just like, as I don't know, as you guys say, think or not, but before we'll just work when we need to work, and it was like a little chaotic, and we start to manage ourselves. And afterwards, we both got really burned out in the moment where we can like, I couldn't touch the laptop because I'm like, it's been days where 3 days I didn't sleep. I just work on one project because we took so much overload. And my husband will come home and then sitting on the desk, like I didn't sleep for 3 days and I cannot talk anymore. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, I need to finish this because I have a deadline. It needs to go out. And we start slacking because we burn out. We both don't want to do. We don't have a hand to design anymore because the brain just out of a window. It's like, okay, you have to survive. And I think 3-4 months we come back from a little huge burnout we both did. And we start structured, but we spent, like, we stop one weekend at least that a week we not work. It's like Sunday, like we choose Saturday or Sunday, but we don't touch your phone and don't touch your laptop, or even if something's not burning out, we don't. And we start not talk to each other like really late nights, and we have days where we're not coming to the office at all. Like right now we go to the office 3 to 4 days, and we work during the day, and if we need to work on something, we work on our own time. Because otherwise, if you overwork, you stop being creative and stop having fun. And I think a lot of people who start, I think it starts as fun, and after that you have a phase where it's not fun anymore. Because you have to decide that you're not a designer anymore. In my part was more, we need to, like I design 30% of the time from the rest of the stuff what I do to our business to be afloat. A lot of times, like the fun projects goes to Sean more because he's still enjoying this fun-paced designing, and I'm in communicating, but I know like in the future, like after 10 years, I'm probably not going to touch design at all because I have to run another side, and we kind of agree on that. I still give feedback on a lot of stuff, and he still feedback on me, but I'm more on the administrative stuff and hard stuff. And this is like, I think it was like a morning time in the year ago when I understand when, okay, I love being designer, I love design, but probably if we want to run our business, I'm not a graphic designer anymore. I'm a person for own design studio and have an eye for graphic design. But if we want to expand team in the future, probably people will. I still love learning. I do learn every time. Everything new come out. I think education is really important, and we both pushing each other to learn more. But right now, like again, Sean advanced in some software more than me, and I advanced in some different software more than him because we don't do it all the time. And
well, you're also working twice the hours. You're also really deep in the business at the same time.
Are we both working twice an hour?
No, I'm just.
No, it's just kind of funny because like first, like we had a period of a time. It's about if people start to do business together, you have to be honest with each other for 100%. If you get upset, if you get offended, holding it, bringing it that you can stop talking to each other and it's hurting my business. Like from some, like we're doing it for 2 years, whereas I full-time and Sean part-time. And sometimes, like we all human beings, sometimes you get tired, upset, and you're like, I came out, I'm like, okay, I'm tired working because I wake up in the morning and work same hours and I work after hours because we have to work together, and Sean work after hours. So sometimes you get me like Sean tired and like, okay, like maybe one day I slacked and didn't work at the daytime and he come after full-time job and I feel bad because he has to stay here and I had a rest today. It's like so touchy point, I think, and you had to talk about that. But it's a moment where I didn't want to do it anymore because I was burned out. And I think the most, if you want to do a graphic design study, first you have to love a graphic design. Second, you have to understand the sacrifice you give. But you, for first year of doing business, any business, your personal life going out of a window until you figure it out how to do it. And also we talked about, Sean, I think the important part, when we start a business, all people say don't undercharge. Don't undercharge, price yourself perfectly. I think it's inevitable to undercharge.
Well,
because
don't undercharge
until you get your head.
But also don't overcharge. You want to make sure that you're like in line with your value, because you can get in a bad area both ways.
I think it depends on the people too. I think for us, it's hard to undercharge when you're just starting. For us, at least, because I can tell a funny story. My first website we ever did was $200, and we thought it's a lot of money. I think
that's a rite of passage. I think everybody's gone that road.
Yeah, okay.
And after that, when we get from 200 and
but that's something unique about us. We're starting right out of school though, So we didn't have we didn't go to like an agency and get all this experience from under a creative director and all this. I mean, Elina interned at an agency and got some insight there, but I didn't. So like, we don't really have any background in that, where you guys, I think, well, yeah, both of you guys came from agencies prior. So I'm sure you learned a lot from that you were able to apply.
Yeah, it's funny. No, go ahead.
We went different routes. We went at a lot of design studios, and we so appreciated all people who owns design studios in Albany, because it was really nice, and they will tell us everything we know about how to run design studio. And it's not about like we go and ask them to write our business plan. They just share the story, and we can pick up what to do, what not to do from what people experience and apply it to us.
Yeah, that's great. I've in my experience of like meeting people in the Albany and upstate New York area, everybody's been so generous with advice and kind of trying to just build the community up. It's really nice to see. And I wanted to touch a little bit before we move on to another thing on something you said about burnout. I think it's really a unique challenge for people in the creative industry to experience and deal with burnout, because creativity is so essential to, your humanity, like just being a person, to kind of start to productize and sell your own creativity. It's going to diminish your passion for designing and doing that stuff. So I find that a lot of people that get into the creative space after college or after whatever, and certainly I felt this way too, you really start to like lose the passion for designing, because you're just so in it all the time and you're doing it in service of other people rather than something you enjoyed for yourself. It's a weird kind of internal struggle that you have to navigate. And I think it's really important to find other means of creativity or other points of balance, so that you can regain some of that, refilling the tank with creative ideas, inspiration, and everything, so that you can start to regain that passion for creativity. And that's certainly something I did when I started my business. I was getting a bit down on, designing for all these other people and wanting to create something for myself. But it became really fulfilling to, learn how to design a business rather than a product for people. And, expressing and working out all those different ideas in a different way was like really helpful to reignite a passion and creativity and kind of take it back for myself, to the point where now I'm like not really as concerned about how do I design the best website or how do I design the best poster or logo or brand system, whatever. And now I'm kind of like, what can I design in my real life? Like, how can I structure my day or structure my business in a different way, or trying to find design in things that are not just visual.
Yeah, with me, I think like I definitely am huge on weekends are mine, the exception that we're doing this on the weekend. No, but I really do. I mean, I would say out of the year, there are moments, and I'm working this weekend as I say this, right? So, no, I would say like 95% of my weekends though are mine. And like, I try to designate a section of every night too. But I think both Jake and I are 5 a.m. people. And we're like, we wake up, I don't know, I'm now talking to Jake's morning, which I'm not sure of, but I wake up going 100 miles per hour, and then I start tapering around like 2, So, and then I kind of get back into it in a second wind. But I'm very much of the person where Monday through Friday, I am working as hard as I can in the most efficient capacity, being very programmed, and then I try to really honor the nights and weekends to family, friends, whatever activities.
Actually, a little jealous, because I think we are still going through this phase, because like where we want to be.
You're like, I'm working right now. This is work.
Raise those prices. If there's one thing, raise those prices. You know why?
Yes,
I'll say this real quick.
Try.
I'll say this real quick. When you lower your prices, you bring the market down with you.
I know. And we're not about the lower the price. It's again, our price check is intact. Our self-esteem is we overthink about what we can do in a short period of time. And we also think like, oh, how is all these people, but they're going to work on my product like 40 hours. And sometimes we just encounter the situation. We design the really simple, and the point is look really simple. But to come at it look really simple, we spend like 10 hours overnight to just
Then how
make
simple
sure
is
it's
it?
positioned where it's positioned and it doesn't
It's
have
simple.
anything extra on it.
Yeah.
We was thinking like, how we tell the clients that two things on this poster are going to cost him this amount of money. Even we know behind the scene, we spent this amount of hours to make sure this two things positioned properly on this thing and nothing else needed to be there. Like, you know, some stuff I weird like that. I don't know. But I think we got progress that we don't work on weekends, at least Sunday. Sunday is off because first year and a half, we went year and a half without day off. It was everyday work non-stop. And I think that's why we burned out really badly for a point of mental breakdowns, because no matter what you do today, no matter like what's happening, you end up working. And we put ourselves in a situation like if we go to vacation, if we go anywhere, you cannot leave your house without laptop. It was a crime because something could happen while you're away. And I think we did like really big progress for last 8 months when we started doing boundaries. And it has some side effects. I think some people, like some clients, because we allowed it, because there's like our first rule, we don't want people like wait, and usually we respond in first 10 minutes when we get like email or something, or try to respond as soon as we see it. But sometimes people get it wrong way and they think, because design is a weird thing, like again, 2 bubbles, but it took us 10 hours to get to this idea. And sometimes people think like to make a little adjustment is really fast, and it's taking 5 hours behind the scene. And we stopped doing right away moment, like where people ask, oh, we need to do something for this really quick, can you help us right away? And we will sit down and help right away. Right now we open the schedule and okay, we can schedule it for tomorrow. We have this window. If you need a rush, we can rush you in here. We don't do it right away anymore. Because otherwise I ended up in this situation when I have like 3 clients calls every morning, and I promised everyone that I'm going to help them the same day. And I was like, it's overnight work because it needs to be delivered in the morning, and I can help one person, but when it's 3, and I myself put myself in this situation because I'm like, oh, how I need help too. I look so sad. We're going to be nervous. I'm really going to be stressed out and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've got a fun question that I'm curious that while you're talking, I'm thinking of, that I'm wondering all of you, like what your response is when you think of like a day, right? We're all seems to be like all hands on deck when we're designing. When you get to start that, whatever that is, sleepy hour, it seems like, I think Jake said earlier, his second caffeine is at 2 p.m. So I'm guessing 2 p.m.'s your hit. Yeah. Mine's right around that 2. I have my own kind of method to get through that. I'm curious to know, Sean and Elina, how do you handle, Sean, you can even talk about your other job, wherever you are creating, it doesn't matter where, but how do you guys get through like the hump of the day?
I think for both of us, it's going on a walk. Like we'll just walk around the building here. And that just frees the mind. You have good conversations. I don't know. That just helps us. My day job,
long?
No break. I'm just going. Oh, but yeah. What? How long for a walk?
20 to 30 minutes.
Okay, so
at
like
the
a 30-minute
it's nicer. Yeah. At the summer, like
walk.
when we sit down and we know like it's bad. And we also, Sean knows all the building here. And every time we go to the walk, and it's big building, like to walk around, it's about 8 minutes to go around the building. And while we're walking around, we'll see persons of people. And usually it's funny because it's also apartment building and people knows about the design studio here. And they all like stop to our office to chit chat. And we have our break, but we go walk around just chit chatting with the people. It gets your mind off and keep you going.
Yeah. There's 274 apartments around us here. So there's a lot of people, and we just run into them on our walks, and then we'll just chat with them, and it's nice. It's like a good break. It's like a brain break for us.
That's good.
At the summertime, we played pickleball once.
Oh, that's cool.
It's the summertime, we played pickleball once, and We also go to do because we have different activities around the place where we are, and we just create some activity to go outside. We can get a ride to get milkshakes, or just walk to milkshakes, or walk to different pairs. Just try to get out of the building and do something for 30 minutes.
Nice.
But also, because we have a game right now, we have to complete chores to the office, to clean the office, to do stuff, to complete the monthly chores, to reconcile bank accounts, to make sure all invoices are sent, and we get a passes. We have a music pass, a milkshake pass, coffee pass, takeout dinner pass. And if we both complete all the chores, we get a passes. What we do, it's our way how to get mind off and just take a break. And when we work first day until time, it's really make you going. Because we have a little circles that we need to complete until we can get a pass. And 2 days ago, we was okay, we're really both tired, we need a break. And we just went to the board oh, we have a milkshake, let's go get milkshakes.
Would you guys be open to sharing with us your little game?
Yeah.
Gosh.
Or a little snapshot of it? I'd love to see it because that's so cool. That's fun.
So you can shop a monthly one. You can shop a both. We have,
it's not that filled out, though. It's kind of embarrassing. Hold up. Let me see. Which one should I show here?
You're damn, you picked January to show this?
It's this is our little board. So it's
so it's so you fill it in every month. It's
a
chart. Oh, cool.
We have one for 1 month and one for 3 months. And the client related, the project where we get money in, we do the money price. If we complete the 3 months, it's funny because if you complete we have a 2-day trip somewhere. If we complete this task, we get this amount of clients. If we do proper marketing and the top goal we go, me, my husband, Sean, and his significant other, we go to vacation for 4 days all together. And if we make this amount of money, it's all stuff like that and keep you going because when you complete 1 or 2 circles out of one task, third and fourth, you run to do it. We just so close to finish it. And if even not for the price, it's just for the sake to completing the holes in the... And it's kind of keep us going. We also have a late passes. It's something because we had a tendency to be late in the office because it's only me and Sean. And who cares the time working? And right now we have a late pass. And if you're 6 times late, even me or him, we don't get the full price of the board out. And that's why for last months, none of us been late in the office. And we also have 2 late passes.
Yeah, Jake, you came in running one day.
Yeah, I was running out of parking lot because...
Jake, what about you?
So I'm weird in that I have ADHD and it's too easy for me not to take a break. I have been learning how to deal with it and try to just kind of catch the wave of I'm going to work. I'm going to be in it for 5-6 hours until it's done. And then I'll be, lethargic after that. So I try and just work as much as I can, get as much done because I know another wave's coming soon. But yeah, walks are great for kind of resetting the mind, for taking a break. Any kind of physical activity is always good, but a good 2 p.m. coffee didn't hurt anybody either.
No, right? I also want to chime in on that. You say you work morning and you're most productive at the morning. My brain doesn't turn on until 10. I cannot even speak. That's why and it's so funny because when you go to work in the office, you usually have things you have to do and it doesn't matter if your brain works or not, you just try to deal with it. But when you work for yourself, you try to find the most efficient way you work. And it's what's funny because the most efficient to me it's after 8 p.m. overnight. I also think because most of my life I survive in a different time zone and my internal clock just flipped.
Yeah.
And
so your best time is 8, you said it starts around 8 p.m.?
8 p.m. and after until 5 a.m. in the morning, I can keep going nonstop.
She has permanent jet lag.
Well, you know what it is, though? That's interesting because I feel that's a really nice time when everyone's not bugging you an email or it's kind of the same probably theory of why I'm very much early morning person because I don't have to check in with anyone really until like I don't have to like shark my emails until about 9 in the morning, 9 or 10 in the morning. So I can kind of dodge email hour and really get like a bunch of weird creative done in the early morning hours.
I think it's all about like manufacturing freedom. Like you have runway,
100%.
get into it. Because like I love waking up super early just because nobody else is awake, and it's like your time to do whatever the fuck you want. If that's work,
it's like a real life do not disturb, basically.
100%. And I actually I'm gonna try working at 8 p.m. now because I think that vibes with me in terms of like nobody wants anything from you. You have as long as you want to kind of do whatever. There's like this impending pressure of like, I got to take the dog out. I got to answer these emails at noon. I've got meetings coming up. I think having that kind of freedom is nice to have. Like, I have a clear schedule. I can just work as late as I need to.
Jake knows this, I am a huge siesta person. So from like 2 to 4.
Do you take a nap during the day?
I do take a nap. Actually, I try to take like a cat nap, like flat on my back. If I lay on my stomach, I'm out. You know, I'm like
we can be fresh.
Yeah, it's like it'll be asleep if I at all turn. But if I'm no, I really do. If I'm feeling pretty tired or I really exhausted myself or I only got maybe 5 hours of sleep the night before or you know whatever it is, I just like listen to my body and I'm like, look, if I'm hitting a wall, I'm going to intentionally take a break, you know, like go get a snack. I try not to drink coffee or I'm not coffee, caffeine in that kind of area. I try to just kind of power through it. But yeah, and then I like slowly get back into it around 4. And then, you know, I tend to cook dinners and then, you know, so I would say 8 is my next like wind. If I'm going to do a night, I can get creative at night, but it all depends. It all depends on how much and how hard I kind of use the thinking cap earlier. But
have you ever done the caffeine nap, the coffee nap?
Yeah, coffee 20 minutes.
What's
you
a
wake
coffee
up,
nap?
New person. You have
You
to
drink-
drink the coffee and go take a nap right away.
Yeah.
What? Is this a thing?
Yep. You drink a
Because coffee
coffee
doesn't
and then
keep
you put
30
on a
minutes.
timer for like 20 minutes.
Or
Because
And
you'll
when you
get
wake
a
up,
little
in the
energy
moment you
boost.
wake up, coffee starts kicking. I think every designer did it at school.
Vampires are like bats just like resurrecting from the caffeine. Just
Right.
like all of a sudden you're like, all right, it's in the bloodstream. I'm here.
Yeah,
Let's go.
It's what's waking you up in 15 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's called nappuccino. You drink coffee and you
A
go sleep.
nappuccino? Is that what you said?
Nappuccino.
There we go. It's
My
my,
God.
my new brand
as a
name.
dream. And it's so funny because when I was at school, I never draw in my life, and I have to take extra much time to just catch up with everyone who did draw in my life. And I'm like, okay. And didn't have any sleep, and we had like a resting room and couch, and I will go get a coffee, drink a coffee, sleep on this couch in the resting room. After 15 minutes, you wake up, you're like a new person.
That's great.
It's like full night rest.
I get it.
Yeah, but
I get it.
I cannot survive with the daily naps. I need to I have a daily nap 30 minutes, and it's really weird because I'm also energetic person, and like a couple years ago I could not even stay home. I need to do something and be something all the time. And I'm sorry. Okay. And right now and also so funny because me and Sean cannot communicate where I work at night. That's why I had to transition to daytime job. But I'm less productive, and I still try to find the balance where my hours kicked in, because until 10 I couldn't talk to people, I couldn't design, I just sit, I pile up all the emails, I write down all the emails, and after 10 I start responding. So if somebody want to try to conversation with me, I'm like, okay, it's gonna be after 10, and just write everything down. And I think I can design from like 10 to 2, and after that I have like hour and an hour half break, and I go from 4 till whenever I stop. Sometimes it's really late.
I think my sweet spot is somewhere around 15 to 20 minutes. I think 30 minutes gets into the danger zone of the sleep for some reason for me. It's like a 15, 20 minutes, like a quick, like, up, all right, close my eyes, up, all right, I gotta go, you know? If it's at 30 minutes, I start thinking, like, did I get enough sleep? Why am I this? You know what I mean? Like, what am I doing here? Do I need to eat something different? Like, what's going on?
I should try 15 to 20 minutes because right now I do like 30 to 45. Because if it goes more than an hour,
That's
I'm out. I will not
dangerous.
wake up. I know,
Yeah.
right?
I know how that is. That's
There's
so
like
funny.
you
I
get
think
a little too much sleep and now you're just tired when you wake up. You're like ruined for the rest of the day.
I think one of the keys though too is it's like you have to be laying on your flat on your back. You know what I mean? You have to
because
be
if
like,
you,
yeah, go ahead.
I think the back is because if you become so comfortable, sometimes you just like it's happened to me one time when I had to wake up and I wake up just. It's also my husband is so funny because he thinks if he knows how much I work and if he sees me sleeping, he like, okay, I'm not gonna touch it and I'm gonna make sure everything's super quiet in the house. No matter what happens, don't wake up. And if you
Very
lay
sweet.
down, not on the back, on the side, I find myself waking up at like 1 a.m. at night just because my alarm went off. I didn't hear it. And I'm like, okay, I just slept 9 hours and I don't know what I'm going to do overnight. And Sean couldn't reach me all day. That's why on the back, it's actually the best because you cannot sleep very comfortably on the back and you're still going to wake up because you want to turn around and do something. I think this has a secret in it.
I've got one last question that I'm curious about, but I wanted to ask Jake, do you have something that you wanted to ask?
No, I'm good. I was gonna kind of transition into wrapping up a little bit, but I want to hear your
Yeah.
question.
This is like a wrapping up question. This is more of like this last question. I'm just curious before we go. It's all related to productivity. Are you guys pro or against music or sound in the background while you're being creative? Is this too big of a question, guys? You're all smiling. I know
No.
everyone's excited about this. Is this like an okay question to end with?
I think it's crucial. I
Okay.
think music fuels creativity for me.
With
Like
words or
that's
without words?
with words or without. I
Okay.
love all music.
Okay.
I
Okay.
can't work without music. I think I need it. Elina watches TV while she works, which is the weirdest thing, but I can't do that. I'll get distracted.
That's
But it's
amazing.
also not a TV. I do watch TV show, but if you ask me while I work what's happening in TV show, I will not tell you because I don't pay attention to it. It's just, I don't feel alone in my space. But I also find out I did it for a long time. I work with TV on the background and it's not about like me watching. It's about noise coming and music. I started paying attention, but if something happens, it's like background noise.
It's like your
Maybe
own white
Yeah.
noise.
I don't know. It's weird. I also lived in the city before, and right now I live in the woods. There's no person close to me,
I was going to ask you, I was like,
and
did
that's
you
why I
grow
think I
up in a
constantly need a
city?
noise. It was not a. I grew up in a city that's close to. It's different layout. It's like a building with multiple apartments, and it's a lot of buildings around, and it's all constant noise from something like car driving by, or like constant city noise. And here right now I'm in the forest and all I hear is how deer try to knock on my window to say hello and that's it. It's like no noise at all. And that's why it's so weird. Like upstate New York is really weird because right now I have a problem, but every night deers come to the front yard and I just look at my windows. And it's really creepy. I'm like, why
Do
are
you
you
have a
doing
white
that?
oak? Do you have a white oak tree in your...
I'm not really sure how it look like, but we have a lot of deers.
Sorry, random.
Yeah.
Primo
But they're just
acorns.
creepy.
That's why I was asking. Anyway, it's usually the deers gravitate towards certain... Anyway,
Oh my God.
ignore
It's just
me.
like, it was so funny because I was driving yesterday. I saw 11 deer standing by my field. I'm like, oh my God, what's he doing here? And I went like really cute. Only like when you wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning and you have like 9 deer just standing on the yard and looking at the house. It's like, oh my God, this is the end of the world. Like I'm possessed. It's crazy. Anyway, I think just because of really quietness, I try to fill it out with something and it's TV. But when I really need to focus, I would like to, like, even for sure, I'm like, Sean, shut the music down because right now I really need to be in my head with myself and it's distracting.
I think it depends on the work too, right? Like if it's something really creative and visual, you want like that background stimulation. But like when I have to write something or I have to think really hard, I like need to shut everything off. I'm like,
Yeah.
I can have like music without words going on in the background, but as soon as somebody else is like singing or talking or something, I'm like, I can't also talk at the same time, like do both things at once.
What's your
You know what's
genre
funny?
of choice?
Because
I do. I literally do a playlist called Coffee Table Jazz on Spotify. I like a little background jazz. Do some lo-fi hip hop. That
Yes,
tends to be
lo-fi.
nonverbal. Or what's his name? Who? There's like an electronic artist that I put on all the time too, but I can't remember. Tycho. I put on Tycho. He's great for work music. But I mean, it's funny. I also have with ADHD, you like kind of want more stimulation because your brain is overstimulated and not getting enough outlet for it. So a lot of times, like neurologically, you want something else to focus on so that you can have a distraction, so that you can like background focus on something, so you can foreground focus on something.
Right.
But if it's something that's really like firing on all cylinders, I need to write and think about something, it's enough distraction. So I need to turn everything off. So it's like weird.
Elina, were you going to
Understand you
jump in?
completely.
Okay.
I say Sean is funny because Sean completely opposite. He cannot write without the music, with the words. And when I sit next to him and we work on the one proposal on one email, I'm like, Sean, can you turn it off? I just can't focus, and like I can't focus otherwise. But so we have two pairs of headphones, but like we can dial it in when we listen or not. But it's interesting because I'm more than you. I can, like, if I really need to focus, like if I do manual stuff, like, for example, if I did this task 150 times and I don't need to be creative or think really hard on it, it's just like a manual work. I love music, TV shows, and everything. If I really need to focus on something or create on something, I need everything shut off.
Yeah. And I totally get the like, I want something in the background so I don't feel alone. I would put on reruns of like the Great British Bake Off just so people are talking, just to like fill the space as I'm doing something non-technical.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like weird. I don't know. But I think one moment at a time, we were at school, but I ran out of Netflix TV show. I was really upset. I think I watched every single one that like possible in my genre, but I don't have it anymore. And I'm in the same spot right now. I moved to the Hulu because I went through Netflix, Amazon Prime, and right now I'm back at Hulu because everything else is just finished. I'm like, oh my God. And it's not about like, I watch them patiently sitting and like, I put like Dr. House, but even if you chime in after 30 minutes not watching, you still understand what's going on in there.
I have a
But
funny
TV shows like that.
story. My dad's a jeweler and he works from home too, but all of his work is like right in front of him. It's very manual work. So he'll put on Netflix in the background and like watch all these shows. And he's developed a sense of like what's a good show to listen to versus what's not a good show to listen to because it's so visually driven. And you'll suddenly have opinions that like, oh, Stranger Things, not great to listen to. But but another like more talking heavy show is like, oh yeah, that's a good one. I watched that
It's like
one.
an audiobook, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Maybe like a
audiobook is
documentary or
different.
something.
I do a lot of documentary. I think I watched all the murder ones and like all the crazy ones on the Netflix that about like your neighbors and stuff. Because a lot of shows like it's start being interesting, like Stranger Things, you have to stop and watch. These TV shows I usually pile back and like I watch one episode and I don't understand anything from the listening. It means it's short to watch. And it's got another pile of the shows that I actually watched not working on. But it's very rare. But I don't know what you think about audiobooks, but I cannot do audiobooks.
Yeah, same thing because like they need more attention. Like you can't miss a beat. That's why like it's almost better to put on a show that you've watched 1,000 times before because you can kind of check in, check out. At least that's what I've done before.
Yeah, I am a no music person.
Really?
No.
Yeah,
I get it. I understand.
It's you know what, I will make an exception towards when I'm doing like sketching, drawing and stuff. Like I want it all. Put audio, I'll do it, you know. But when I'm like thinking of day to day, I am best in total silence. And like if I need to like also figure something out, I don't mean to like go, if I can find a way where, you know, I don't go in my car to just like run gas, you know, but I'm saying, you know, if I can find a destination or create an activity where I'm in a long drive in total silence, oh my God, the amount of things just like start clicking and like I need that moment of like space that I do tend to find when I'm traveling a little more, whether I'm on a train or in a car, but then actually like doing work, I honor the level of just total silence. I don't know why. I think it's like so clear. I have no distractions. I'm forced in this like moment of truth, I guess. I don't know.
I love what you say about the car because most of the craziest ideas I got when you said it's from the driving. I love driving because you kind of in your headspace and you're thinking about everything and everything moving and like I don't know, car it's my weird thing. It's always giving me inspiration. That's why I like rides and stuff like that.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
totally.
for me, it's the shower.
The shower
You know,
too. Yeah.
You have nothing
no,
to do.
for sure.
Like, that's just like
Yeah.
shower thoughts, you know? Or the toilet. Like, sitting on the toilet, I've had the best ideas. I'm serious. I'm dead serious. You got to try it.
No, I hear you though. I do think, yeah, moments when you're kind of like forced in these like silent moments, I suppose. But also like, I think that I do get the value or the like, if you're in some kind of creative block and you're especially working on branding, I know Sean, you were talking about how that's kind of like your focus. Oh my God. I mean, it's so nice. If you're like, I don't know if I want to do this, if you like put on your favorite music, you're like, oh, you're like into it. You know what I mean? So it really, I do think it depends. I think often where I'm at is more on a weird, deeper level of strategy that I just can't, like, I couldn't disrupt that space with like music, but even like instrumental, I've tried it all. It's not my bag. For me, it's really, yeah, I have to have like a really, you know, things can be going on around me. You know, there could be construction work outside or sirens or whatever. I do tend to lean into like, I actually grew up in like the woods or, you know, I don't know, non-city life, but I am so much like, I don't know, ever since college, I've been in like the city. You know, I would say when I actually go back home or, you know, to an area where there's like total silence, it's creepy. You know what I mean? To me, like, it's like, I need like something, I need a buzz. I need civilization around me. I like the way that I like to explain like how I am is it's like, I want to be left alone in a crowd. Does that make sense? I don't know, but that's where I'm at.
What about white noise?
Yeah.
What about
No.
white noise? Is that something that you do?
If I need it, you know what I mean? So if
Does that count as sound? Like, is that like,
white
that's like
noise?
a thing, right? Yeah, it's
I
like,
mean,
you're listening to something.
I mean, you know, when you like take the air, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I think if you do white noise in the silent house, it's become creepier. Well, it was before.
Well, you know, when you're like air conditioned months and then all of a sudden you get out of the air conditioned months and then you're like, oh, but I kind of just want that like buzz on, you know?
Right.
So I know that there is a comfort, you know, to it that we all probably gravitate towards. I would say if I need it, if there's something that's like a protruding sound in the background that is coming to the forefront that I'm like, all right, this guy is going to be hammering on this roof for like all day. I need to put on, then I'll put I'll put on white noise or brown noise, or I'll try them all. I'll try like the pink noise, all of the different kinds of noises.
I didn't even know there was other colored noises.
It
That's
is.
nice
Oh,
to know.
yeah.
Isn't the brown
There's
noise
white,
the one
brown-
that makes you shit?
No, there's one.
Or that's the
one
brown.
like-
That's the brown note. Okay.
Oh my God, I don't even know what you were talking about. No, there's one that's, I used to use a noisemaker. One, it's like, white noise is very much like the background. And then I'm pretty sure pink and brown, it's a little more in the foreground. So it could be like, a good example is like ocean waves, right? So it's not a background noise, but it's kind of like background noise. You know what I mean? I can't remember which one that is. But again, like they're just different levels of kind of maybe awareness to your ears. I couldn't tell you. So anyway.
I do the rain.
Rain's
Rain
calming
sound.
and nice.
And it's so
yeah.
funny because when I work and I need to focus, I do a rain sound, and my dog tuned into it. And right now, when my dog in distress, when we have like a new animals on the front yard, on the backyard, try to get in the house, like always freaks out. And I close him in my office. I sit in the house, in the office with a rain sound, and he cooling down. I'm like, okay, me and my dog tuned in one white noise sound, but we can be relaxing.
Well, this was so nice. What do you guys think? How are you doing? Was this a good time?
Yeah, this is great. This is fun.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Thanks for having us. We're so honored to be the first guests as well.
Honored to have you.
I hope you liked us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I had a good time.
Yeah.
Jake, do you want to wrap it up for us?
Sure. I just want to
Put you on the spot?
put me on the spot. I know.
Yeah.
Well, no, I just
What
want
have we talked about today?
Yeah, today we talked a lot about about how to face the fear of starting your business and, taking the leap to putting that creative passion to work and kind of the fears around it and what makes it difficult. And I just want to thank you guys for coming on the show. Ever since I met you guys, you've had such mature boundaries around each other and around the experience of working together and trying to honor each other as you work together, to not make each other crazy, but also to kind of treat this thing seriously. And it's so nice to hear your guys' story and how you're, facing the challenge of working together. Because I've heard so many other horror stories of people that ended up hating each other, never wanting to talk again. But I think you guys have a really mature take on having a creative partnership that I'm excited. I'm glad that we got the chance to talk about it today.
Yeah,
I'm glad you reached out to us that one day randomly on LinkedIn, and now we're here.
Yeah. Well, I think that, there is a lot of designers out there that are having a pretty hard go of it right now, be it just, the year or where we're at technology-wise. I'm not quite sure, but it's so great to hear just, how you guys are navigating this space, and it sounds like you guys are doing pretty well. So I'm just, and I've learned so much. So thank you so much for, taking the time today. It's been really great to get to know both of you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having us. I really like you both, and I like to hear different sides of people, because we always close in our little world and try to figure it out. It's really helpful to know our designers to open to share their stories and help and collaborate, and it just make us feel more in the safe space in our world that we can do it. And we talked with Jake before, and I just want to put it out there: the designers should not compete, they should collaborate. And I think it's our main idea, to just, because when you have it doesn't matter if you have a partner in a business or not. If you're even freelancing and you have a friend or someone to help you and say, hey, I have a project, do you want to take a look? Or what do you think? And somebody can give you honest feedback, and you can talk and have a conversation, or stupid jokes about how packaging look, or being too honest, and people understand. It's really important.
So takeaway for everybody: go up to your design friend, tell them their app looks like shit.
If that's the one thing you take away from this,
their app
that's
looks
great.
like shit, tell them that they need to raise their prices and take breaks.
Yes.
The question is, who's the crazy
I
one
think so.
out of the two of you?
Yeah, right?
Is it crazy for you letting that go, or is he crazy for saying it? No, I'm kidding.
Sure. Until next time.
Thanks for listening to Working with Designers. Kristin and I would love to hear from you. Please give us a like and send us your thoughts on whatever platform you found us on. Let us know what questions you want us to talk about in the next episode by filling out our contact form at workingwithdesigners.com. Thanks, and we'll talk to you soon.